Great. Hi, and welcome to our talk tonight. And our talk tonight is how to overcome shyness. So my name is Marie McCarthy, and I am a mindset coach and international mindset speaker. Now, I always work with women. So for any men out there, don't take any notice, don't take any offense. It is just women I work with. But for the context of this presentation, it's obviously open to men and women as well. So what I do is I help professional women break through their deep-rooted issues that are holding them back from achieving their true happiness. And how I do this is I guide them through my program to unlock their limiting beliefs, to gain clarity, confidence, and the energy needed to achieve significant success and get their zest for life back again. And my tagline is "Sky's the limit success, and it is possible for you if you want it." So let's get into the presentation, and you're welcome to ask questions afterwards. If you would like to connect with me, my schedule link is going to be in the comments box below. So you're welcome to schedule a call with me, and just reference that you either saw this video on the OWASP group or you're on the presentation as well. So shyness, what is it? So the first one is a definition from the medical directory, and they define shyness as a personality trait that produces behaviors ranging from feeling uncomfortable at a party to an extreme fear of being watched by others while talking on the telephone. Shyness, this is another one by healthline.com, and what they describe shyness as a feeling of fear or discomfort caused by other people, especially in new situations or among strangers. It's an unpleasant feeling of self-consciousness, a fear of what some people believe others are thinking. And this fear can inhibit a person's ability to do or say what they want. It can also prevent the formation of healthy relationships. Shyness is often linked to low self-esteem, and it may also be the cause of social anxiety. So there's a lot going on with shyness and how it affects people, and it can affect people from, multi levels. Some are deep rooted. There is some scientific facts backing up and basing evidence on when they're in the fetal position in the mother's womb, depending on if they were on, medication or anything like that. Some of those could have an effect on the fetus in the womb growing, and which could lead to shyness on, I suppose, an extreme case. However, I suppose there's a difference then between shyness and introverts, and oftentimes we get mixed up with both. And the hard thing is when you're mixed up and you're not clear on whether you're a shy, you suffer from shyness or you suffer from introverts. The hardest thing then to be able to do is to figure out, well, actually, how do I deal with this? Like, what are the tools and tips I need? Because if you don't identify which one you are, now you could be a mixture of both. You're not going to be able to progress to the level that you want to be able to deal with, I suppose, the changes necessary for you to improve and have the confidence in yourself to be able to overcome it. So it's really important that you understand, first and foremost, like the difference between shyness and introverts. So the best way to look at it is, and this is taken from, there's a couple of, different places that have, I suppose, different elements of what shyness and what introverts are. So shy individuals tend to hold people at a distance, okay? They are very afraid to interact with others, and they often feel overwhelmed and have a negative fear of how others evaluate or judge them. So when you look at shyness and a real true shy person, they actually have a fear of other people judging them. So what they do is, because they want to protect themselves from what other people think, they'll push people away and they just won't interact with them for fear of being judged or what they're going to say. Okay, so that's a fundamental block, I suppose, of what a shyness is. And introverts then, so introverts actually become overstimulated by being surrounded by other people. So they then think in on themselves about what they feel about themselves, and they can become emotionally drained after spending time with others as well. And then what happens is they need to be alone, they go in on themselves, and they need to recharge their energy levels. So an introvert is someone who doesn't mind engaging in small talk and can interact with people, but what happens is they can only do it for a limited period of time and they feel drained. So they go in on themselves, they retreat, and they retreat from the world. And then they obviously spend time on their, with them on their own, you know, themselves as well. So I suppose that's a really key description of what shyness is and what introverts are. Now, you could be both. You could be a mixture of both, which is fine too. It's just being able to identify, you know, how it affects you, and then being able to preempt your situation that maybe you're going into, and then you have your tools that you can use, you know, to help you deal with that situation that you're facing. Okay, so you know, and a lot of time for people with shyness, like small talk can just be absolutely agonizing. You know, you become absolutely wretched with fear, having to think of small talk and stuff like that as well. And shy people would rather have a root canal than actually engage in small talk. So it can be quite serious, and it can lead to an awful lot of stress and anxiety, which isn't good for you. So I suppose, first of all, how is shyness affecting you? And what I want you to think about on this is, you know, maybe write down a few areas of like how your shyness is affecting you. Is it affecting you in work? You know, if you get asked to do a presentation, do you shy away from it? Are you interacting with your colleagues in work? So, you know, how is it affecting you is the first step, right? Understand what areas of your life it's showing up. And then the next thing I would say is try and identify if you're shy or introvert, or if you're a mix of both, okay? And then you need to look at what could be the root cause for your shyness or for your introversion, okay? So was it your childhood? Was it school? Was it a traumatic experience you had? You know, how is this showing up for you today? Like I said, is it showing up for you in your relationships, in your work, your friends? How is it showing up for you? Because shyness and introversion are all learned behaviors. You're not born with this. It's all learned behaviors that we've built up over time. But because they're part of your subconscious, you're not even conscious that it's happening to you. Well, in some cases you are conscious it's happening, but a lot of the times you're so unconscious of it, it just becomes part of your fiber, and it becomes part of your being. But actually it's a learned behavior that you have decided something about yourself after you've experienced something that's happened. So either your childhood, school, a traumatic situation or experience, you know, and then what happens is you look for confirmation to confirm how you're feeling. And that's actually what happens then. All of these negative stuff starts appearing in front of you, and then you take it for granted that that's exactly what you are. You're shy, you're introverted because such and such happened, or such and such said something. You know, and it can hold you back, and it can really hold you back in your life and your career, and like no one wants that, you know. So it's really important that you understand how it's showing up and how it's affecting you. Identify from the following tips. I'm going to talk about tips and stuff, and which ones are best suited to help you overcome your shyness or introversion. What's going to be the one thing that you're going to do today and every day to reduce your stress around it? So when I'm talking through the tips, what I really love you to do is be able to identify one thing that you're going to do today going forward. And then you do it the next day and the next day, and it becomes a repetition. So that's really a key part of it. So there's 5 tips to overcoming your shyness. There's loads of tips out there, but some of these are just ones that I find really useful, and I use them all the time. So identify your triggers emotionally and externally. So it could be getting up and doing a presentation and work, and you're absolutely terrified and you're overcome with emotion and overwhelm. Okay, so when you identify your trigger, and what I'm going to do in a minute is talk more around your emotional triggers and what emotional triggers will look like. But basically, if you can identify the triggers, you can plan ahead and you can create a system and a game plan that will help you face the triggers and how to overcome them. Now, I think everyone is probably afraid of public speaking, but that becomes more anxious and overwhelming for people who are shy and people who are introverted. That can be quite difficult and lead to a lot of anxiety. And if you really are suffering from it to a really deep-rooted core, I would advise you to seek professional help, because what it does is when you seek the advice of a professional, it speeds up your results. It speeds up you getting there faster as well. So it's brilliant once you do the work. So there's probably some situations where you're not shy in every aspect of your life. You could be very relaxed and chilled at home, and you're comfortable with the people around you. You might get to know someone after 3 or 4 meetings, and then you're comfortable with them. So that's good, because that's something that you can always look at and say, well, okay, externally you're going into a new room full of people, but they all have the best of intention. There's no one out there that's going to be scary. So it's what you can do in those situations is look at the external factors and just think back to it and say, look, if you got to speak to this person, after 3 or 4 times, you're going to be more comfortable with them. So there's ways that you can build your confidence to get there faster. Okay. So a really good thing to do, I came across this, is brilliant, is create a shyness bucket list. So if you list out 2 or 3 things that you find really the 2 or 3 biggest things that would absolutely get your pulse racing, get you sweating, get you really, really anxious. List out 2 or 3 things that you're really anxious about and that you dread all the time. And then what I would do is list another 2 or 3 things that aren't as fearful, but would still cause you some level of anxiety. And what you can do is start with the smaller ones. So start with the ones that are less anxious and start tackling those and using the strategies that I'm going to go through with you in a minute. And literally look at it and say, okay, well, if I can accomplish this one thing that I was fearful of off my bucket list, okay, that's given me a bit of confidence, and then I can move forward. Now, it could be as simple as I was saying earlier. If you get the tube to work or a bus to work, and there's people on it, and you're the type of person that has the head down, please don't look at me, please don't talk to me. So that could be a small thing that maybe you can incorporate into your shyness bucket list, that maybe you just connect with someone. You start a conversation with someone, or maybe you just even say hello to someone sitting next to you. That could be a really big thing for you. And when you start to do that, your confidence will build then over time as well. And the more times you surround yourself with people you don't know, and you know the external factors and you know your emotional triggers, it's much easier for you then to have confidence in that situation. Okay. The next thing, it's really important, is to make eye contact. And making eye contact, you know, it's a way of demonstrating your confidence actually without you verbalizing anything. So this is a great one to try if you're uncomfortable on public transport or a bus or a train, and you're uncomfortable around that, or you go into a shop, you know, and you kind of like avoid eye contact with everyone. Maybe that's where to start and see, can you actually start making eye contact, because that will, you know, grow your confidence as well. And it's a great way of communicating with someone without actually saying anything. And the same with smiling. You know, a smile, I suppose a lot of people would be mislabeled as standoffish when they can be shy or introverted. So if you can give someone, a stranger, a smile, a friendly smile, you know, it'll probably improve your day, certainly with your confidence, and it could improve that other person's day as well. You know, it's a nice way to acknowledge another person and a great way to start a conversation as well. You're showing that you're welcoming and friendly and willing to engage in conversation. You know, and humans are social creatures, so everyone is looking for some kind of interaction with other people, and you're not disturbing them. It doesn't matter what you say. They're not going to think badly of you because of what you say. All right. And I was saying this earlier as well today. So making eye contact and smiling is your number one way of communicating without saying anything. And remember, as babies, we didn't know how to verbalize, like we couldn't talk. So how did we verbalize with people? How did we get attention? Obviously, there's crying is another element, but we as babies held people's eye contact. We looked up at our parents, you know, at our family and friends, and we held their gaze, we held eye contact with them, and we smiled, you know. So it just goes to show, as babies, we're not born with any of this or any of this limiting belief. It's a learned behavior that we've adapted over time. So that really is a key to helping you build your confidence. And if you do those two things, just make eye contact and smile, you will start to become more confident. Then record your success. So it's great if you're doing the bucket list, like write down, you know, what you did and, you know, how you felt after it. Did you make eye contact today? It could even be simple as just making eye contact with people and maybe smiling when you walk into the office or into a shop. And just record your successes, because what tends to happen is it's a great way for you to measure your success and your progress, okay? Because a year from now, if you're implementing these strategies, you can tend to forget how difficult it was, and actually you can tend to forget how much you've grown in your confidence on the process and on the journey. So by recording it, you can really get a bit of self-boosting here. You can see your journey and you can see your progress. And also there was a woman on, I think one of our very first meetings that we did, and it was brilliant. She had post-its up on her wall. So for every little win that she got, or, you know, she got something that was giving her a confidence boost, she'd write it down on a post-it and stick it up on her wall in the bedroom. She was in college, I think, at the time. And so if she had a hard day or if she had a really bad day, she would come home and she would look at her wall and actually was like, not that bad. I've achieved all of this. Okay, today didn't go according to plan, but actually tomorrow's a new day. I can start afresh tomorrow. And that's what you can do as well. You don't have to get it right all day, every day. There's no right or wrong here. It's all about trying to build up your confidence so that you have less anxiety and you have less stress, and that you feel more confident in yourself. And your measure of success is only, you can only decide what that is. No one can tell you what that is or what it should look like. Okay, so that's up for you to decide what that is. So record your success and don't be afraid of it. And then the next element is how to master your mindset. Okay, so you need to monitor your internal dialogue. So how often do negative thoughts appear daily? And what's really interesting is if you record it somewhere, what starts to happen is you shift that from your subconscious where you're not aware of it. It's just there in your subconscious. You know, you feel like it's part of your DNA, your fiber, to becoming aware and shifting it to your conscious. And when you do that, that's where change happens. So I often, with my one-to-one private clients that I talk to and I'm working with in my programs, what I'll do with them is I'll get them to send me a WhatsApp voice message, or they can text me, whatever. And it's basically, if a negative thought comes in, they have to text me or they have to leave a voice message with it. And it's quite amazing when they bring their awareness to it, that's when the shift starts really happening. That's when they really start mastering it and working on it. Sorry, I have an itch here in this. You know, so becoming aware of it really, really reduces the stress of thinking about it as well. And because, you know, you're aware of the cause of your stress around shyness and introversion, it's really important that you identify what your emotional triggers are. What are the stresses that are going to cause you to be uncomfortable? What's going to happen in the external environment? What's going to happen to you internally? And a big part is you need to let go of the past. So whatever went on in the past, whatever situation happened, you really need to let it go because it's not serving you. It's not doing you any favors. Okay. And it's a very, as hard as it is, and even though a lot of times people want to be free of this, it's still their comfort zone. Even though as nasty as it is and you don't want to be there, it's still people's comfort zone. So they still hang on to it. Whereas if you release it and just let it go, it's much more powerful. So the other thing is know your emotional triggers and external triggers. Meditation is a great daily practice to get into. If you're not doing meditation already, I would strongly urge you, because if you're going into a situation which you know is going to be uncomfortable, say you have a big presentation to do with work and you're anxious about it, just meditate for 10 minutes before it, that morning before you leave for work. And honest to God, it really grounds you and it makes you an awful lot calmer. And the other thing is to speak to a professional, because you do get the results much faster in life as well. So now we're going to have just a quick look at the emotional triggers, okay? So an emotional trigger can be a topic that highlights aspects of your lives, of our lives, that we are happy or unhappy or frustrated with, okay? So someone says something, or someone does something and that triggers you, but what it's doing is it's triggering you because it's highlighting that something in your life you're not happy with and you maybe want to change it, but you're frustrated because you don't know how to change it. So building a strong, confident inner voice is the key to managing the trigger. Now, you need to be aware as well of other people's intention, okay? They could be completely unaware of how it affects you. And an awful lot of the time, they are unaware of how it affects you. So a friend or relative, you know, who's hitting that emotional scar or hitting that emotional trigger for you is absolutely unaware of the pain you're going through or experiencing. And while you may feel not comfortable enough, you know, to talk to them about it, it's important to keep, I suppose, a fresh perspective about the other person's intention. You know, they don't have the intention to upset you, and I guarantee you they're probably, you know, 100% unaware that it is affecting you. So it's important that you understand why it's emotional trigger for you. And then if you can talk to that person in an assertive but kind way and explain to them this seems to be a trigger for me. I prefer if you didn't say that in that manner or speak to me in this manner. And you can just set your boundaries as well, so that person, you know, you're stopping that from upsetting you going forward. The other thing is owning your own pain. So you're responsible for finding new ways to manage your thoughts and emotional triggers. Now, it's important to understand that whatever we are feeling or hurting is caused by the reality in our lives. So we can't run away from them. You are allowed to feel your emotions. There's nothing wrong with feeling shy or anxious or stressed or angry or upset or vulnerable. All our emotions are okay. It's how we manage them and how we deal with them is really the key difference. And it is your responsibility to manage and improve them. If they're keeping you stuck, if they're causing you upset, if they're causing you anxiousness, it is your responsibility to manage it and improve it, because unfortunately, no one is going to do it for you, and no one is going to wave a magic wand and say, there you go, it's all better, you've no stresses or strains. Okay. So that is it for tonight. I want to thank you very much for joining me here. I'm going to pop my details at the bottom of this screen, and we'll pop my details into the chat box as well, the comment box. If you'd like to have a call with me at any stage, you are more than welcome. I would love to have a call with you and see if any of this is resonating with you, or if you want to get that faster results, please do pick up the phone and jump on a call with me. Okay, thank you very much.